Governor of California, Gavin Newsom, has launched a podcast. Just what the world needed, another podcast. And this is actually the irony of Gavin Newsom's podcast, because while it would be valuable to have the governor of the state of California, the fifth largest economy in the world, speaking directly to the public so we can understand what he thinks, how he's thinking, how he's improving the state of California, what lessons we can learn from California for the rest of the country, that is very much not what Gavin Newsom's podcast is about. Gavin's first 3 episodes featured conversations with him and right-wing thinkers and politicians like Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon. And while I actually don't dislike this concept at all, I think this is an interesting premise and an interesting concept, the execution of it has been terrible. So that is what we were talking about today. I'm Carly P. Riley. This is the Carly P. Riley Show. I am trying to understand what is happening in this moment in American politics and American history without listening to any one single echo chamber, trying to get a sense of what is going on across the political spectrum, give my takes. And if that is interesting to you, would love if you would share this episode or subscribe to the channel. So let's talk about Gavin Newsom's podcast. Now, the Democratic Party and Democrats have been criticizing Gavin for having these right-wingers on and for capitulating to certain right-wing points. That is not the problem, though. In fact, having right-wing thinkers on is great. The Democratic Party should be reaching across the aisle. Showing that you have the capacity to have a conversation with somebody who politically disagrees with you is great. Capitulating on certain points where the Democratic Party is clearly losing, also not a bad thing. If you share certain viewpoints with Republicans, that is okay. And rigorous debate would be wonderful. A real debate, these long-form podcasts where you can flesh out ideas and really see where the daylight exists between one party and another or one person or another, that is fantastic. Problem is that Gavin Newsom's podcast has no actual debate, no rigorous debate, because Gavin Newsom, governor of California, comes across as somebody who apparently has no political ideology of his own, opinions of his own. He can't even defend the policies that he's enacted in his own state of California. And the result of this is that you walk away going, okay, I guess I should vote for Republicans because the governor of California is apparently a Republican as well. Here is the governor of California in conversation with Charlie Kirk, appearing like he is finding out for the first time things he doesn't agree with are happening within the California school system.
Governor, with all due respect, that's happening right now in California public schools.
But also,
and I'm not trying to drill you on. I'm just being honest. No. Like, you could say that, but like maybe you should like convene a special session and say like no more, race-based teaching against white people in the schools of California or Asians. I'm just saying though that like this is not a conjecture. It's not a hypothetical.
Right. Okay, I appreciate it. I mean, the CRT stuff. I was trying to find it. Where is you think we have CRT in K through 12 education?
You have the principles of it. It's like saying like so you don't have the elements of it. But for example, I mean, it's very simple.
But at least that explains why. Because I was trying to find it.
We know of over at least 50 schools in California that do things called privilege walks.
What are we doing here? Okay, this is such a bad look for Gavin Newsom, in my opinion, because there were 2 options here. You either agree with Charlie, which he seems to be doing, and saying, yeah, this is a problem, which is just an acknowledgement that you have somehow failed the students, the children in your state of California, or you disagree with him, which frankly is what Gavin should have done, because I'm now walking away going, oh, does Gavin not know what's happening in his own school district, in his own state, and why doesn't he know that? And if he agrees that this is a problem, what has he been doing? So he essentially capitulates the point to Charlie. Goes, I was trying to find CRT in the school district. What do you mean you were trying to find it? Like a kid who's lost his puppy or something. Like, what do you mean? You are the governor of California. And here's the thing. I mean, I have been ensconced in this rhetoric around critical race theory. And I mean, this is a point that the Republicans have not been quiet about. They have been quite loud about this for years now. So if you are the governor of California, your job when this started to become a big issue, at least for half of the country, was to go investigate it. Go, how real is this problem? What is the scope of this problem? And how does this problem stack up against all the other problems that the state is facing and the school system is facing? Because one potential pushback to this whole line of thinking, and this is where my head has gone every time I hear Republicans make this point, is again, scope. What is actually the scope of this problem? Charlie Kirk is saying that 50 schools that they know of do these privilege walks. Okay, well, I don't know the ins and outs of what exactly is happening with privilege walks, but I can tell you 50 schools out of over 10,000 schools in California is actually not that many. But what the Republicans do so well is they take issues that are this big and they make them seem like they're this big. I mean, how many kids in California can't afford a healthy lunch and how many kids in California are getting the proper healthy lunch they need from their current school districts. I got to tell you, if there's 200,000 kids, 100,000 kids who could use better nutrition at lunchtime, that is a more important issue than there being 50 schools where there's some weird privilege walk thing going on. And Gavin Newsom could make that point in terms of how many students he's affecting with whatever policies he is putting in place in the schools. But he doesn't say that. So I walk away going, oh, okay, the Republicans are right that this is a big problem, because Gavin sort of seems to be capitulating to that, or he just seems like he doesn't know about it. So he's not saying it is or it isn't a big problem. He just doesn't know, which doesn't help his case. I'm like, all right, maybe this is a big issue. Charlie Kirk's making certainly a more compelling case in this than Gavin Newsom is making. So this is a big issue, and you just now haven't dealt with it. You just didn't handle it as the governor. And you're out there, you're looking for CRT, like you're in a Where's Waldo book going, oh, where's this critical race theory showing up in the schools? But this is where fundamentally this is an opportunity for Gavin Newsom to enter the podcast space, an area where Democrats have historically not done as well as Republicans, and present a real vision for what a Democratic future could look like. What do the Democrats want this country to look and feel like? And how is that different than what Charlie Kirk wants? That is what this could have been and should have been if it's going to serve any purpose, at least for me in my life. But not only did Gavin Newsom not do that, not present his own vision, he was borderline sycophantic to Charlie. I mean, take a listen to this.
I mean, there's no opposition. There's no activist spark. If you guys are posting these cringe videos on social media.
What are the videos? What are the ones that
I don't know,
most
this
cringy?
like harmonious thing of like 22 senators all saying the same
You
thing.
didn't like that, yeah.
I didn't like it. Go ahead. Go do more of that.
What do you do?
Please.
But what do you do? Seriously, Charlie Kirk, give us some advice.
Get better ideas, Governor.
Is
Like,
it
for
ideas?
example, I mean, like,
Get better ideas, Governor. I mean, why do you need to be told this? What? Why do you need to be told this? Like, you are the 57-year-old governor of California. And look, I get asking a young person, Charlie's 31, he's very good at social media, maybe getting some social media advice from Charlie, but this did not feel like that. This felt like the person running the 5th largest economy in the world was a kid asking his dad for help on his homework. Being like, Dad, can you help me? I don't know what to do, man. Like, what do you mean you don't know what to... you are the one who is supposed to know what to do. Like, your Democratic leadership. You don't get much more Democratic leadership than the governor of California. So lead, man, and tell us what you're doing right. It's actually mind-blowing to me. It is mind-blowing to me. We already have Joe Rogan. We already have the All In podcast. You have Ben Shapiro. We have plenty of, frankly, smart podcasters who are right-wing, or somebody like Joe Rogan, who is not going to give any pushback, but mostly has on, at this point, more right-wing type thinkers. We don't need another one of those podcasts, which isn't to say I don't find value in those. I do. I enjoy many of them. I'm just saying we don't need another one. And we certainly don't need one from the governor of California. Like, what are we doing? There would be so much value in having intelligent debate between a smart Democrat and a smart Republican, and I would give almost anything to have that at this point. Because I hear all of the, California's a mess, California's been so poorly run, the Democrats can't run the state, and I assume that a lot of it is hyperbole, or some of it is hyperbole, because I assume everything is hyperbole until I look into it myself. But then I watch something like this and I go, oh, I guess they're right, because Gavin Newsom, who's running the state, doesn't seem to be able to defend the state. Anyway, Gavin Newsom is milquetoast with good hair. And I really hope that he steps it up in future episodes. And I get he wants to be friendly to the guests that he's having on the show. I get that he wants to be charming. But this just comes across as weak. It just comes across as weak. I can tell you this. If Gavin Newsom is warming us up for his run for president, I certainly will never vote for him. I would never vote for this person. In any case, that is our show for today. Would love to know what you think. What did you think of Gavin Newsom's new podcast? Have you listened to it? What do you think of Gavin Newsom in general? And with that, I will see you next time.